everyone, Todd from the Vine of Northwest Arkansas. Happy Easter. I hope that you have had a wonderful day celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ with family and friends. And while it is Easter, I do want to take this time to make a bit of a confession. You see, I'm not so sure I believe in resurrection. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not at all what I expected to hear from a Christian pastor on Easter, but let me explain, okay? You see, I do believe in the resurrection. I believe in the resurrection that first happened on that Easter morning 2,000 some odd years ago, and I do believe in the resurrection that will happen at the end of days, when Jesus returns in final judgment. But what I have a harder time believing, though, is the resurrection that happens here and now. So let me give you an example of what I mean. So when you're a pastor, you never really know what kind of people you're going to run into. I meet people almost every day who are in need of some sort of assistance or encouragement or support. And as a Christian, I try to meet those needs whenever I can. But honestly, a lot of times people are really difficult to help. And I don't mean because they're rude or ungrateful. I just mean that the type of help that people often need is not really the type of help I'm able to give. I think back to one particular day when a woman walked into the office where I was working looking for help. And so I, along with another pastor, we began working to try to help this young woman find a shelter where she could stay. And we spent the entire day looking, and we couldn't find any openings anywhere. It was actually really frustrating. But we finally located a shelter in Kansas, of all places, that was willing to take this woman in and give her the help that she needed. So we bought her a bus ticket, we prayed with her, and we sent her on her way. And when I finally got back to my office at the end of the day, I sat down in my chair and I looked at my desk, and there stood a stack of things that I needed to get done that day, and I hadn't touched any of them. And as I sat there, a thought popped into my head, and as soon as it did, I was immediately ashamed of it. You see, in that moment, I thought to myself, well, that was a waste of a day. Waste of a day. I felt so bad for even thinking that. I mean, here I was, a minister of Jesus Christ, a minister of the one who conquered death and was raised to new life, and yet all I could think in that moment was a waste of a day. You see, I do believe in the resurrection that will happen at the end of days, but what I have a harder time believing in is the resurrection that happens here and now. In John 11, Jesus receives word that his friend Lazarus is about to die. Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, reach out to Jesus and they tell him to come to Bethany to save their brother's life. But for reasons that we can't really get into right now, Jesus delays and Lazarus dies. And when Jesus finally arrives in Bethany, Martha runs out to meet him, and she's just furious. She yells at Jesus, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." And to that challenge, Jesus asks Martha, "Don't you believe that your brother will be raised to new life?" And Martha responds, "Yes, Lord, I know that my brother will be raised at the resurrection on the last day." And Jesus answers, "No, Martha, you don't understand. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life." You see, Martha believed in the resurrection that will happen in the future, but what she had a harder time believing in was the resurrection life that Jesus offers now. So Jesus calls out to Lazarus and tells him to come out of the tomb, and he does, and the people are amazed, and Lazarus has been raised and given the gift of resurrection life. You see, wherever Jesus is, resurrection life is there with him, here and now, not at some far-off future event, here and now, in our midst. And Jesus is inviting us to join in that work of resurrection with him. He's inviting us to believe that death is not the end, that hopeless situations are never actually hopeless, that the darkest night of the soul is always followed by the rising sun, that the grave does not have the last word because we believe in the one who has conquered the grave, who has rolled away the stone, and who has left his grave clothes behind. And this one is Jesus, the Christ, who gave his life for you so that you might experience the fullness of resurrection life. I pray God's richest blessings upon you and your family on this most holy of days. Make sure that you like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on future activities from the Vine as we begin joining in the work of resurrection in Centerton and all throughout Northwest Arkansas. May God bless you all until we meet again. Amen.